Today's video is another video interview with a former virtual assistant because now she has grown her online business in so many ways in the past few years. Make sure to watch until the end because she will be sharing with us about podcast tips and tricks for beginners. And if you're thinking of offering podcast skills as a virtual assistant, you don't want to miss this. Hi outstanding people, this is Connie Zavala and I'm here to help you get your time freedom back. This channel is about sharing with you some tips, tools, training, and video interviews like this one about the virtual assistant industry. So make sure to subscribe and click the bell so you won't miss the videos I publish every week. Like I said, today's video interview is with a friend and a former virtual assistant who now has many titles. So she's a Facebook marketing strategist, a published author, a podcaster, and a mentor to business owners and virtual assistants. So, wow, that's a lot. See, you can do so many things after becoming a virtual assistant. Anyway, to continue, I met her because we both have the same first mentor where we learned how to be a virtual assistant many years ago. And we actually did a project together as well. Again, watch her tips about podcasts because this is important if you want to offer this type of skill as a VA.
Let us all welcome Kristine Peñaredondo.
Hi!
I pronounce it right.
Yes! It means you're my friend.
So let's start with the first question. Tell us a short story about the last job you have or the status you were before transitioning to working from home.
Okay, I worked for a total of 12 years in the corporate, both private and government. My last employer is the Department of Labor and Employment. So every time I get to tell that story, people would always say, "Hi, you're from the government. Why did you leave?" It's like them telling me, "I'm already in the bed. Why did you even,
Get up.
why did you demote yourself and went into the floor? Why did you choose to sleep on the floor?" But that's how it is. 12 years in the corporate, different industries. I learned about working from home sometime in 2009. I was in school.
All right. So what were your struggles when you were starting?
Struggles when I was starting, I had to, because I started building my portfolio, Cons. You did the same thing. So I started working on tutorials. So I had, first of all, on the mindset level, I had to accept that I need to unlearn many things so that I can relearn many things. And then second one, part of that, I need to understand that I need to study again and again. That's when I realized that I shouldn't be stopping learning or growing. And the best thing about it is that once you're out of school, once you're graduated from school, or once you're out of school, you already have a choice on what you want to learn. So that was something that was the thing that excited me. Another more struggles. It's hard to create a portfolio because I have my full-time job. And then once I created the tutorial, it's my first time to pitch to job applications. I've never done that because, as you know, if you're working, once you're in the job, you're done pitching. All you have to do is you work and do what is expected of you. So I spent nights after going home from work pitching, or at the same time studying. And pitching is not as easy because you're gonna have a lot of rejections, thousands of it. I know you understand that one, and I know you're followers are also experiencing that one. So that's the struggle. When you already have a client, it's still a struggle because you manage expectations. When I had that part-time online job, I need to manage both the full-time and the part-time. I need to make sure that everything is going on smoothly. And one of the unforgettable struggles that I had was when I was transitioning from full-time to part-time. During that time, I already submitted my resignation letter. So I was preparing everything here in the home, my computer, internet, everything. And my internet is during that time, it's not at par with the standards that I need to have to work from home. So during that time, I was working for a part-time job. I need to wake up at around 9 p.m. and be awake until 12 midnight or worse until 4 a.m. because that's the only time when my internet connection is fast. It's so hard. And I would wake up or maybe not even sleep at all, go straight to the job, and everyone was talking to me, giving me instructions. I couldn't understand the thing. That was so hard. That's why I think it was the first time I went into the internet service provider's office and almost fought with everyone because I wanted a better internet connection, which I got later on. But those were the struggles, and every time I look back at it, I always remember, like, did that really happen? I survived that one because it's always fun to looking back right now. It helped me to be where I am and be more resilient, I guess.
So how long did it take for you to say that you said you filed the resignation. So how long did it take for you to say that this is what you want to do?
That resignation letter took 4 years. If you remember, I was working for the government, and there was this one time I was walking because the office is near Rizal Parque. It's near Luneta. So there was a time there's no jeep. It's very hard to get a jeep during that time. So I walked, and it's okay. I walk. When I walked, I got to ask myself, how was I doing? How is the new environment? Because during that time, I think I was going 4 months on the job. And so I asked myself, how am I? How are things? How are the people? And the most important thing that I asked myself, do I think I will last here? Like, will this be the last company that I will retire in or from? And the answer is a no. So I answered myself no. And then, okay, if my answer is no, then when are we going to leave? So I told myself that I'm leaving in 2 years. So it took 4 years. So I think there's a lot of dilly-dallying. And maybe part of it is I'm trying to immerse myself because government work is different from private. And I was also building my network during that time. I'm getting to know the people from the regional office, from the field office, because every person in Dole has different work. I'm in HR. I need to understand the people behind the performance evaluation documents that I'm doing, that I'm compiling, that I'm monitoring. There are persons behind it. So they work differently. So I need to understand what are they doing. If they're in the field, do they go out? What types of people are they encountering? So it's let's say it's really colorful. It's an adventure. And it took me 4 years because by the 3rd year of me working there, I had my total thyroidectomy operation. So I don't have a thyroid anymore. You can Google it. People will say it's not an important organ, but there's no such thing as an unimportant organ. So that's 2013, I had that operation. So it's like I was confronted by my mortality. So it's not that I'm going to die, because the mortality rate of those undergoing that operation is very high. But still, you're gonna ask yourself, if you're faced with a health crisis, you're gonna ask yourself, what have I done in my life, and is it worth it, or is it saying something about my mission? Like, wow, all of a sudden I'm talking about mission and purpose in life. I've never thought of it before. So it took me 4 years because of I immersed myself. I tried to immerse as much as I could, and I encountered a health crisis. So after that, and I was cleared of cancer stage 1. There's no need for chemotherapy. I said, that's it. I am leaving. That's it, I'm leaving. I left. My last day in the office was February 14. Best Valentine's Day ever.
Wow. You had a date with yourself.
Yes, I did myself with a box. I said, what is she doing? Is she moving out of the house?
So tell us more about your very first project as a VA, and what skills did you offer?
My very first offer was a blog commenter. That's how simple it was. I can do it in the office. That's how simple it was. I remember getting it from freelancer.com. And the instructions were very easy. The client said, every time I'm going to post a long form blog on my website, you need to be on top of things, meaning the most is 30 minutes to 1 hour. You need to have your comment under the blog. And it's not the usual, hey, this article is awesome, or you're good at what you're doing. It's not like that. It has to be relevant and make sense, related to what the client wrote. And the good thing about that was the client is a digital marketer. So during that time, I already have a knowledge of what digital marketing is. So I'm able to write my comments well. And also the requirement is it has to be SEO. So I had to make sure that my comment is also had the right words. I think I was there for 3 to 4 months, and I was paid a total of $40.
Wow. For the 3 months?
Yeah, $40 for 3 months. Because I remembered he's not releasing blogs every week. But which I would understand, because his blog post is really long. They were really long. So that's my first job, $40. And I told, when I did, this is funny, and I still have this in my file. I took a screenshot of the $40 that I got. And in freelancer.com, the screenshot of the $40, like, oh my God, this is so real. Okay, I need to make sure that this is really real. Okay, so my bank account is connected to freelancer.com. So okay, the next real thing phase that I need to get over with is if this $40 is going to get transferred into my account as you know, Philippine peso, real money. So I transferred it, and after a few days it happens. Like, oh my God, this is so real. My $40 is so real, and I still have those screenshots. I shared it with my mentor during that time. As you know, it's John Hilario. He's responsible for me doing this, and I shared with him that this is my very first earning online. Others would say, $40, so what? But to me, that was big. It was big. It was a big deal for me because number one, it's validation that, hey, this is something real. Like, I can really earn good money from this. And the second one is I'm capable of doing this. I'm capable of commenting, you know, a relevant and I guess sensible blog comment. So because if I wasn't able to do that, I won't be paid. right? So that's the very first one. I won't forget that. And then it took a few more months before I got my social media manager job, because during that time, the blog commenter, so it's like the validation, but it's the validation client or gig that I had. But what I was offering during that time was social media management, because I fell in love with sharing information. And so that's the skill that I focused on. It took a few months, I think total between 9 to 10 months before my first client for social media. So there.
Do you think it's important to have an ideal client, and why?
Oh yes, definitely. Last year, someone gave me an audiobook of Seth Godin. It's called This is Marketing. And I listened to it 20 times because, sometimes it's hard to understand Seth Godin and his concepts. Like I need to re-listen more than 20 times. So one of the things that I understood finally after 20 attempts of listening, one of the most important points that I learned from that book is that not everyone is your customer. I know that somehow Seth Godin is talking to business owners, but I know definitely he also spoke to me, and he's going to speak to everyone who's watching this video right now. You can't be someone to everyone. That is why you need to understand who are you going to sell to, who are you going to serve. Because from there, you would understand what skills or what part of the business they need help at, so that I could be good at it. That's the thing that I'm going to study. That's the skill I'm going to focus on. Seth is even advising to go hyper niche. Let's say you're a social media manager for real estate. Other people would say it's still very general. So what you can do is you can niche further and be a real estate Instagram marketer. So with that, you're only focused on the Instagram skills, and you're still going to serve real estate investors or brokers or agents, but you're focusing on Instagram, which is good because, you could feature the houses that they are selling, or the condominium units that they are selling. So it's good nowadays to do that. It's always a yes to have an ideal client. Looking back in my experience, I learned the hard way, because there were times when I couldn't ask for a raise, or it's gonna take me a while to get the raise that I wanted. So with that lesson, I told myself, okay, I'm not gonna work with a client that's not willing to give me an increased rate for at least 3 months. Also, when I was pitching to jobs, I didn't like working on time zones, because there are clients that would say you should be awake when I'm awake, and if that's an Eastern Standard Time, oh my god, like it's so complicated. Because I told myself I'm not in a call center job. It's not that I'm belittling the industry, but then I told myself, if I'm going to work when my client is awake, then might as well work in BPO. It's the same thing, and maybe I would even get better salary and better benefits because I get to work on night shift. But then it's not. So I need to consider those ones. So if I see that on the description that you need to be awake on PST, EST, I don't even know what time zone it is. Okay, I'm sorry, next. I know people would say, no, that's hard. That means I would have less opportunities. But I did not think of it that way. Because when you think of your ideal client, the thing is you're only focused on looking for that person. And guess what? That potential client is also looking at you, because he or she is also looking for a potential hire with these kinds of standards. So if you have standards for your ideal client, the two of you will meet sooner or later. So to me, this is very important.
Yes. And what is your biggest blessing since you started working from home?
That I get to work from home. That's it. That's it. Especially during these challenging times, the very first thing that I was thankful for was that I get to work from home. There was a time, there were two instances. I was in Dole that I wished, like I really shouted it out in the whole office that I told them, hashtag, quote unquote, balang araw. I had that balang araw moment, like my someday moment. I screamed it out. Someday I'm not going to experience this anymore because I'm going to work from home. And there were two instances. The first instance was, it was raining so hard. I couldn't remember if it was monsoon or if it was a big typhoon, that I still managed to survive and get to the office, which is in Manila, which I think those are 20 kilometers away from where I live. So that's tough. Second instance was, there was a very big parade of a religious organization and majority of the roads were closed. And it even took us 2 hours and many vehicles, LRT, bus, jeep, another bus, just to get home. And it really frustrated me that the day after that, I shouted it again. Someday, I'm not going to experience it anymore because I'm going to work from home. So, going back, and with this happening, I'm just one of the things I'm really thankful for. I get to work from home. Because that means my work is not paused, and I would still have the opportunity to even bitch if I want to, right? I'd still get to and get to do more helping work. In the last few months since this challenging time period happened, given myself my time away in helping people, whether business owner or virtual professionals, because it's not because I don't get much, I don't have a lot to do, but because this is the time when people need helping hand. So that's one. That's just one of the blessings. My secondary blessing is I get to have this office because this isn't visible. This is not really something that is already here. When I was starting 6 years ago. Let's say this is a labor of hard work and, doing things little by little. That's it.
All right. Last question for this round. If you were to look back on your younger self when you were just starting to learning working from home, what would you say to her?
You should have heeded your guidance counselor's advice when she said that your career results said you'll be good in marketing. Because I didn't listen. I'm conceited and I do things my way. So there was in 4th year high school. But during high school you have those career assessment tests, right?
Oh.
So we had that one and I forget about it. You don't even what is that about? What are those questions? You forgot about it. And then after a few months, a guidance counselor would ask you to go to their office one by one. And then I had my turn. And ask questions like that. And then she asked me what do I want to take or which path would I like to go to. But we're talking of college stuff, and I told the guidance counselor that I wanted to become a newscaster. On facing the TV, reading news or something. I want to be a journalist. And she said, oh, okay. Because according to your results, you'd be good in marketing. I was like, what? What is that about? Because during that time as well, I was thinking that marketing is another word for sales. I mean, I don't know any better. So Oh, okay. I remembered she photocopied the results because everyone's given that. And I looked at it for a long time and said, marketing? Because it's encircled. Marketing? What? Maybe no. Like my whole body is not accepting it. Because during that time I felt like it's not aligned to becoming a newscaster, becoming a journalist. It's two different paths. Looking back, I would have told my younger self, no, I should have gone for it. So that maybe I would have shorter learning curve. But then I'm happy anyway. That's it.
Alright, so that's the end for our first section.
Oh my god. I survived.
Yes! So for the second section of this video interview, Anne will share with us some podcast tips and tricks for beginners because as she provides her services as a social media manager, she also has her podcast with a fellow VA, with a fellow friend before. So she'll be sharing with us some tips about that type of skills. So, Anne, take it away.
Thanks, Con. So, thank you for reminding me of that. I started podcasting, having my own show back in 2015 with our good friend, Joy Collado. And it's called The Joy and Ann Show. Guess what? Because we love ourselves. The first few months, we were talking about Aldab. Because that was the in thing during that time. And we were just experimenting. We were exchanging notes from each other because between us, it's Joy who's more knowledgeable and more exposed to podcasts than I. So it was from her. I'm forever grateful to her for introducing me into the world of podcasts. And then I think the show ran for 1.5 years, and then we said goodbye to it because Joy had to take care of her newborn baby during that time, and we parted ways. No regrets about it because we learned a lot from producing a podcast. And last year, 2019, I launched my own show. So this time I'm talking to myself alone. Sometimes it's crazy. I find it really crazy. But there are times when I'm getting the hang of it already. My podcast show is called Pinto Top. It's for businesses who are overwhelmed on what to do with the social media marketing, particularly Facebook. It took me a while to launch that show because I had the usual imposter syndrome and doubts in myself. It took me a Gary Vaynerchuk live conference to convince myself that, okay, that guy already gave me permission, so I'm gonna do the show. So I created the show, and it's been fun. I've had 3 guests so far. My first one is our mentor, Jomer Hilario. The second one is one of my clients. He is Marcos Ho. He's from Singapore. And recently, I just interviewed, lo and behold, he said yes, Barry Belcher, the co-founder of Digital Marketer. And I know I'm going to get more interviews in the next coming months and get to grow the listeners of the show because I really want to help business owners. And I know that some of you, if not most, are you already have knowledge of what podcast is about. Maybe during these challenging times, you were introduced into listening to podcasts. And if you are someone who wants to become an expert in making sure that a show is produced, I have 3 tips for you. So the first tip is, first of all, you have to be Joy, our friend Joy. You have to listen to podcasts. You have to, as much as you can, immerse yourself in different podcast shows. There are two types of podcasts. There's the audio, that's what I do, meaning you don't get to see me, you only get to hear my voice. And the second one is video. What Cons is doing right now can be considered as a video podcast. It's just that the platform is in YouTube. And as we know, YouTube has been existing for more than a decade. So immerse yourself, expose yourself on different podcasts, because you learn that there are podcasters who are just starting the show right away. They don't have their opening intro and exit intro. The others have their high-tech stuff going on. You'll just hear it. You'll just know. So immerse yourself and listen to more podcasts. Not only the thing with that tip number one is that's you get to listen, you get to learn a lot of things while doing your chores or doing your client work. The second tip that I have for you is you have to identify what part of podcast production you'd like to become part of or you'd like to be in. You could do many things out of a podcast show. That's what I realized. I learned about creating show notes. I learned about audio editing. It's so hard. During the Joy and Ann show, our show is 30 minutes long. I would edit it for 2 hours. That's how hard it was. So I learned where to edit it. So I learned it from Joy, and you use Audacity. That is the tool that the amateur and the professional podcast editors are using, because it's just the best out there. So I learned about it. She taught me, and then I learned, and then since then I've edited our podcast. And of course, if you have a show, you need to market it. So there's also a social media part of podcasting. Of course, when you need to do artwork. So you need graphic design for podcasts. And podcast syndication is also a skill. Podcast syndication means from your audio host, where would your listeners be able to listen to your podcast? That is if you've heard about Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast. Nowadays, you can also listen to Spotify. You can also get your podcast there, and a whole lot more. So it's a skill. You will need to get some techie stuff right there, and then you'll get a unique URL link, and then you're going to put it together. So that's also a skill. So there's a lot. So my question is, from among those potential skills that you can get, or potential skills that you would want to focus on, which among those would you love to do for a client? Would you love to be someone who's producing the trailer for the next episode? Or would you be someone who loves interacting with potential guests, emailing them, calling them? Or would you be someone who is going to do the social media marketing of the show? There are a lot of opportunities in podcasting. All you have to do is to choose which one you love. Because to me, it's very important doing what you love, because imagine if you're gonna have 10 podcast clients and you're earning a lot from you'd be earning a lot from those. You should be doing something for them that even if it's gonna take a while, you love it. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, check as you listen to podcasts. Check if the podcast shows you are listening to have websites or social media accounts. And you may do this as a challenge. You may email them, the podcast host, and ask them and tell them, hey, I saw your website or your social media account, and these are the things that you do best. Or on the other hand, these are the things that you need to improve. And you can actually pitch your services if you want to. So you can email the person, the podcast host, hey, I checked your podcast, I listened to this episode, and I love what you said about this. And because of that, I checked your website and your social media accounts. And I'd like to share with you the strong points about your website or about your social media accounts. And then you can list it down 1, 2, 3. And then after that, on the other hand, I think you can improve on the following, and then you also enumerate it. And with that, you can tell the podcast host, if you need help on those, I can be of help. Let me know, we can talk. So, you never know. Be on the helping side. That's my last tip. So, that's it. I hope you learned, and I hope you're, with those tips, I was able to get you more curious about podcasting. Both in listening, becoming a part of it, and maybe, who knows, having your own show in the future. Thanks, Cons!
Hey, those were all good tips, and I'm guilty that I'm listening to. I'm not listening so much.
You will now.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for
know.
those wonderful tips. Now we are in the third section of this video interview, which is fast round Q&A. So
that is the most nervous I am about today.
This is just for fun, and you just have to choose A or B, or neither, or both.
Okay.
Whatever. So are you ready?
Okay, I am, I think.
Alright. So, dog or cat?
Dog.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Diet or exercise?
Oh, God. Exercise.
YouTube or Facebook?
Facebook.
Old school notebook or online journal?
Old school notebook.
Music, I think I know the answer to this one. Music or podcast?
It's podcast. Sorry, music.
iOS or Android?
iOS.
Windows or Mac?
Mac.
Ebook or hard copy?
Hard copy.
Alright.
I know it's weird, right? But it's hard for me to read on phone. That's why I'd rather listen.
I see.
But then it's, as you see, oh my God, hard copies. Hard copies of books.
Yes. And last question. Early bird or night owl?
Oh God, early bird.
Yes. So, before we end, what is your last piece of advice for those who are just starting in the virtual assistant industry?
Thanks, Cons, first of all, for inviting me over to your show. It's an honor to serve your listeners and followers and watchers. My last piece of advice is, you'll never know until you try. I know that there are a lot of us, me, Cons, our friends, you may have known that we all work from home as virtual professionals and consultants. And I want to let you know that we all started from the very beginning. We all had our small beginnings. We had our struggles, as I mentioned in the show. But all of those trials and triumphs, if you may say, we won't be able to experience or tell it to you how it is or how it was if we did not tell ourselves that, okay, I'm going to try. So if you think that working from home as a virtual professional is for you, reflect on it, think about it, check what resources you have within you and outside. Ask if there are mentors to guide you. There are hundreds. Choose. But at the end of the day, after all of those, you will never know until you try. So, learn new skills, try learning new skills, learn how to pitch to online gigs, try to belong to a community of virtual professionals that could help you. Try reaching out to a mentor that could shorten or give you shortcuts on your way to your virtual career journey. And share. Always try to share what you learned, whether it failed or it became it's going to be a success story for you. Learn until you can say that, hey, this is easy, hey, this is not easy, or I could have done this if I did this. You will never learn until you try. There are people that want to do this, but they are scared, they are anxious. It's normal. But you will never get over the fear, the doubt, and sometimes even the imposter syndrome that you feel if you're not going to try. So try after this.
Yes. Thank you so much, Anne. So I will share in the description below the podcast and the links that Anne shared with us earlier. And so for the viewers out there, share with us what is your biggest takeaway during this video interview. Share them in the comment section below. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe and click the bell. So Anne, thank you so much.
Thank you so much!
Anne. Thank you. Let's all, ay naku putik, teka, papracticing ko lang yung apelido mo.
Pag hindi mo naayos yan, i-unfriend kita.